Welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update, hosted by the York Group of Downing Fry Realty. Our show will bring you the most up-to-date information on the local real estate market, presented by leading experts in the field.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update. I'm Michael York with the York Group of Downing Fry, and today we're joined again by John Cochrane, owner and president of John Cochrane Golf Schools. Johnny, thanks for coming on again, buddy.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, last time we talked a little bit about the backswing, the hips, the chest and rotation and how everything separates. So just give us a little background on what it is that you're looking for from an amateur golfer in their backswing and the separation.
Well, I think, as I said in the last segment, the biggest thing I see is lack of pivot, right, which creates lack of arm swing.
They stand still, basically.
They just basically stand still. And I think a big part of that is that they haven't really been taught how to pivot properly. Like your body has to understand how to move like it does in any other sport, right? Mm-hmm. So, and again, on the recap,
maybe a little flexibility too.
Yeah, flexibility has a big issue with it. So when I'm assessing somebody and looking at where they are and wondering why do they tilt at the top, I normally will ask the question, why do you do that, right? Mm-hmm. And they actually think they're turning. You know, one of the biggest I would say miss, right, is left shoulder underneath the chin. Mm-hmm. So every person that I've had that has the left shoulder underneath the chin, when you turn, the left shoulder moves, but the shoulders don't move. They're trying to get their shoulder under. And it's if you think of the right side of your body, if you're a right-handed golfer, the left side of the body, if you're a left-handed golfer, if you think of the right shoulder getting behind, if I was to pull my right shoulder behind, my left shoulder will automatically move over.
Right.
But if I'm thinking of my left shoulder getting over,
nothing else moves.
Nothing else moves. So, and then their body freezes.
Yep.
So I think that's a myth out there. Of keeping your head still is definitely the biggest myth. And left shoulder underneath, you know, I don't like that concept because people just
can't
don't
release it
they
from
just,
there.
Well,
otherwise,
they just don't, exactly. They just don't turn.
Yep.
So, getting in front of the mirror and doing a simple drill of a crisscross, right, and just watch for your hips. Mm-hmm. Make sure that your hips turn. And for people who have difficulty in their hips, that's okay, right? Open up the right foot a little bit, like I said, but try to get your shoulders to move as much as possible.
Could you even pull the right foot back?
You can pull the right foot back and open a little bit just to open the hip if that's where the flexibility issues are, right?
Okay.
But there's also drills you can do. You can put your foot up. I mean, there's a great drill where you put your foot up and you bow forward, and when people do that and they put their foot up, they'll feel a huge hamstring stretch. Mm-hmm. And then what you do is you put the club across your hips and you just practice holding your toe up and turning. Anybody can do this. Right. Age has no bearing on this drill. And what they'll find is when I do that, it doesn't even move.
Right.
So we know that it's not, well, I would ask them, do you have arthritis? Do you have disc problems? And if they don't, it's just they just haven't done it. Right. So if you practice that every morning again, and it's very simple, just put the toe up, keep your back flat, hold your stomach in and you bow, you will feel a hamstring stretch. I don't because I've done it so much, but I did at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. So people think that my golf swing or your golf swing is, we have this, great ability, but everything we've done has been trained through our years of playing. So if you haven't done those things, then just start working on it. Bow, put the hips, turn this way, and then open your hips up all the other way as far as you can. Right. And get the hip capsule, right, to start to open up, right, on both sides.
All right, let's work into the sticks here. What do we have set up here from the last video?
This is what we had from the last time, and we talked about the path, we talked about the pivot. We said, listen, practice turning as much as you can, then really practice turning all the way through, knees together. And just make the motion. Right. The motion going back and the motion going through.
Keeping your spine angle.
Keeping your spine angle and getting your legs feeling from the ground up. I mean, it's a ground sport. So you turn and you're pushing through your feet, but making sure that the knees are together. Mm-hmm. And then come up to the stick and say, all right, well, what did we learn last time? Center of the chest, center of the hips, center of the hands are all going to turn. And as you turn and you hinge, the goal is just look at it, watch the stick. And then just do slow, does not be fast. Right. Slowly and say, well, how do I get that shaft of that club to go under that stick? Well, it's going under, and then how do I get the head of the golf club to go under the next stick? And you start to get a visual of the path of doing it and a feel for that.
Start to train the muscles.
Yeah, you start to train your arms. I mean, most people come over the top, don't turn, and they have what they call internal rotation. This is external rotation, this is internal rotation. So even on the backswing, sometimes they do a pretty good job, but then on the downswing, they move this way, and that's internal versus...
But basically this right here, you're going to start off, no ball, just getting used to it in a very slow manner, and then working up
and then
to
work it up to where you can just, you can take it and turn under and and let it go and swing it right under that stick and get a feel for it. And once you start to feel the shape, all of a sudden you'll find for the first time that your hands will start to rotate because anything that goes under the stick and under the stick, you can see my forearms, they want to gear. They'll automatically gear if I do that.
Absolutely.
Right? And if they go this way, I won't.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do now is we said, okay, we got the backswing in place, better. So let's talk about the downswing. How do we get the club back? And we're going to use that impact bag right there. So if you can bring that impact bag over. So this bag is an impact bag, and we're going to strike it. We're going to strike the bag. The key to this, when you're using the bag, is your thought is this. You're not going to strike the bag to hit it. You're working your arm path back into the impact, because we're going to talk about impact
So
today.
forget the bag is basically there. You're not hitting at the bag. You're trying to hit through the bag.
Well, you just want to feel it tap. Like you want to feel yourself strike. So now you've got it here. You're going to take it up, turn, and you're going to swing the arms under, and you just let it tap. So what you see is my arms return back to where they started and forward of it. So they're going to be forward of where I started, but because my arms have to get to the front side of my swing, right? And
creating some shaft lean.
Yeah, if they don't, we're not throwing the club. We're not trying to throw the club to get to the bag because we can't get under.
Right.
So if you think of this, you take the club away and you say, well, maybe I'll stand here, and I call it the praying drill. It's a great drill to do. You just put your hands together and you bow and you go, well, my hands, but back of my hands are a representation of the face of the golf club. So my hands represent the face, my right palm represents the face, my left hand represents the face, right? And my arms represent the shaft.
Okay. Yep.
So let's say you're traveling and you don't have a club. This is a fantastic drill to do. And you say, well, look, I'm going to turn. Well, my arms are in the right position. They're at 10 o'clock. And my hand, back of my left hand and back of my right, that's the face. That would be closed. That would be open. But now, the back of my hand are coming from the side of my body. And that means if they're coming from the side, they're going under the stick.
Right.
And then they go under that stick and you move your arms back. Because we don't really care about the golf club. We care about the arms and the hands and how they're moving, because whatever the arms and hands do, the club is going to do.
Right.
The general public don't think that way. What they think is, the faster I move the club, the faster the ball will go. That's the opposite.
They're using the small muscles.
Right. If they're throwing the golf club, once you hear it, you might be able to hear it in the camera.
Yeah. You've
Done.
expanded
Swings
all
over
your energy.
because there's no energy left, right? Versus saying, it's not club, it's arms. Yep. So the faster I can take my arms up on that plane and return them, the faster I can return them, the faster the club goes. So then the club becomes the follower.
Right.
Where the general people, right, when they're doing it, their arms are the follower. And that's why for people who've taken lessons, they see that cup arm back look. And that's because the arms are moving and the club is moving and the arms are back. Versus if my arms are moving, the club would be back, and that's the key. The club must be.
You want the lag.
You want the lag.
Everybody talks about the lag. Yep.
Exactly.
And that's what the guys on TV hit it for, right?
If you're moving your arms at a high rate of speed, the club moves at a high rate of speed.
Yep.
And that's how you get lag, because anytime I move my arm back and forward, you can see my wrists actually go backwards when I do that. But if I leave my arms and move my hands, now I have no arm swing, right? So the goal is, just before we go to the next segment of the impact, is that as you come back under, you just come back and moving your arms up. Left arm is straight, right arm is under, and what you notice is I have a flat left wrist there. And the goal is to go under, get the arms up in front of you, off your left leg right now, and just feeling that you're just striking the bag, and you can see when I struck the bag, the face was dead square.
Yep.
And that's what you work on for now.
Very nice. Well, Johnny, thank you very much for that. When we come back, guys, Johnny's going to get into a little bit more about impact and the downswing.
Perfect.
Stay tuned.
Thinking of buying a home located in a golf course community in the Naples, Marco, Bonita, or Estero, Florida? Here is what Mark Lai, former PGA winner, says about Realtor Michael York of the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty.
Hi, I'm Mark Lai. If you have any real estate needs in Naples, Florida, the one company to contact is the York Real Estate Group. Also, if you want a golf course property to invest in, Michael York of the York Real Estate Group is the guy to contact. Michael knows every golf course in Naples. I will tell you this, he's been in the golf business for a long time. He's played all the great golf courses down here, and he is an outstanding realtor. I've known him for quite some time, and he's he's got a lot of integrity, and he very much knows his stuff on all the different clubs here in Naples. So the York Real Estate Group is a great place to start. So if you have any time or anybody that wants to visit down here in Naples and look at the options out there, please contact the York Real Estate Group.
Welcome back to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update. John, we talked on the last scene about the downswing, right? And everything we've talked to now is leading up to this point, is impact, the moment of truth. And the reason why a lot of these players are, the good amateur golfers or the professionals are good is that, they may not hit every fairway, they may not hit every green as you see on TV. The guys are exceptional getting the ball up and down, but nonetheless, they typically have a very consistent point of reference at the bottom, a very consistent impact.
Right.
So take us through what you're looking for teaching-wise and also from the students at impact.
Well, I find that most students don't have any impact at all. They don't know where their body's supposed to be, and they come back to neutral. A lot of people, when I ask them, they say, well, isn't it at address? So the address position and the impact position they think is exactly the same, and it's not. It's different, right? There's a difference there. So it's not a position that you have, it's a position that you've learned, right? So I'm just going to give you an idea of how to do it in front of the mirror again, and by this drill. So there's 4 components to your lower body impact position, right? Your front hip, right? If I'm a right-handed golfer, the front hip has to rotate, open, 45 degrees, which we already learned. The front leg has to straighten. The left knee, or the right knee, has to work in, right? And the heel, very, very important, guys. This heel has to lead the toe. The heel must lead the toe, right? So it's like a little tiny dance. Your shoulders are square, right, when you do this. So you put your left hand on top, you put your right hand at the side of the golf club, because I'm doing this as a right-handed golfer. It's a left-handed golfer, just do the opposite. Right? And then you say, okay, I got 4 components to my lower body. My left hip has to shift and rotate, my left leg is straightened, my right knee comes in, and my heel leads the toe, all done through my feet. So remember, it's always 4 things. It's like a little dance. Hip rotates, leg straightens, right knee in, and the heel leads the toe, right? And every single person that I've had within 10 minutes are all in that position, which is the same as the tour players. And then they have to work on it to repeat it, but then I ask them after when they hit a shot, did you get it or didn't you get it? And they'll know right off the bat. So what does impact do for you? Number 1, it creates the most amount of torque in the swing because my shoulders are square but my hips are open. That's the first thing it does. Number 2, there's a 45-degree opening to my hip, which allows my arms to, from segment 1 to extend. So my hips are already open, allows my knees to get together easier, right? And number 3 is, when on the swing, when you look at the backswing from a standpoint, when I do the impact, you'll see my shoulders are square and my hips are open. That means my posture hasn't changed.
Right.
So if that's the case, I can't go over the top and get an impact position. And I can't go under and get an impact. So what impact does, it actually helps the arms to return itself back to the correct position, because if the shoulders are square and the hips are open at 45, then the arms have to track back on that plane. So when I'm standing here at the ball, now I've got the sticks, I've got the bag. This is my little training session for every single person, and you practice doing a little impact drill. You can see my hip is rotated, my leg is straight, and my heel in. Now people say, why is the heel so important? This is a crucial element in your footwork, and you'll see every great player has it. Hogan had it, Snead had it, they all had it. And that is, if the heel rolls to the inside, the club will come from the inside. Most people, the heel rolls to the outside.
Right.
If the heel goes to the outside, the club comes to the outside. So you can actually start to redevelop the path by the correct footwork. It's pretty interesting. And people change, and I don't even talk about the backswing. I just talk about where impact is and where the footwork is, and all of a sudden the whole club changes before I even address it because of those angles coming in.
Starts from the ground up.
Yeah, so again, very simple drill to do. Left hand on top, you can do it while you play golf. Doing impact separation drills, these are called separation drills. And then what I do from there is I'll do some impact. So as we start to work on the backswing, we'll do some backswing view now. Okay, so the backswing, we saw the front side what it looked like at impact.
Right.
So we're going to talk a little bit of the downswing to impact. So now, within 3 lessons, you've changed your front side, you've changed your backswing, and you've changed your impact, and your whole golf swing has evolved within 3 lessons. It shouldn't take that long if you follow that procedure. So I'm going to stand here, and I want the viewers to see that here's my shoulders, my hips, my knees, my feet, they're all square, and now I'm going to go to an impact position. and you can see that my hips are open. You can actually see my glutes and my shoulders are square. That's perfect. So now what I'm going to do is turn, like we talked about. So now on the downswing, a little more information. As the club comes down, that shaft will split your bicep. That's just the stuff you just look for in the mirror, right? It's not what you think of when you're actually hitting the golf ball, but you're developing your skills. Right. The second, as it comes down, what you'll notice is the shaft actually goes underneath the forearm. Yeah. So that means the club's on plane.
And it's pointed right out to the right.
Exactly,
yeah.
It's pointing out to the right. Now what happens is as the club now returns back, my lower body goes to impact. So now I'm working two elements. I have an arm swing, which is independent. It's an independent arm swing, with the lower body being independent. So just remember, there's always three things in the golf swing. My arms, my lower, and my upper. That's all there is.
We're looking for separation.
Separation. So where are they and what are they supposed to do? Well, in the backswing, hips and shoulders turn to 45. We know that. To 90. There's your backswing. Right? So what do I got? Here's my hips relative to my shoulders, my arms. Now the downswing, if I just let my arms swing under and allow my body to go to impact, now what you'll find at the beginning, you might be like this. Pull your shoulders back and open your hips and try to do that little drill again so you can sense that you're returning the big muscles, right, back to impact as the arms are returning to the bottom. And you'll hear, you'll hear a little bit of a pop. So I'm taking it back. And now, because I'm going under, you can see how much power is there. And I didn't hit the ball. I didn't hit the bag. I returned my body to its position. So people say, well, what about Furyk or some of these other guys that are out there that don't have the perfect backswing? Well, here's what happens, is they all know how to return the club back to the position I just gave you right there, at that impact position. Nowadays, what we consider more the modern swing, where the club is more on the plane and more on the return, that's why people are hitting it further. The guys are fitter, they're faster, the ladies are fitter, they're faster, they're stronger, they're hitting at 280. Yeah, just balls have a difference for sure. Just you know, the new Titleist I have here, the TS3 is fantastic. Does that help? There's no doubt about that. There's help. But if you're conditioning your body and you're starting to work on those paths, very simple. We've worked on the front, we've worked on the back, and we've worked on the impact. So when you're practicing now, I want you to practice in two segments. I want you to practice working on impact first, and then going from impact to extension to finish, because now we're tying that first segment together. And then make sure everybody gets an impact bag, bring it up, and then practice going backswing and going under the stick back to that impact. So if you think of the swing symmetrical, right? And we got both sides. The center of the swing, which is the moment of truth, as you said, is where everything has to go into and everything has to go out of. And if you have a good impact position, your number is going to drop. If you're a 25 handicap, you're going to knock 5, 6, 7 shots off your game pretty quick by having those things in place or more.
Yeah, it's about repeating the same thing and knowing exactly where your miss is so that you can, navigate your way around the golf course.
Right. Educate yourself on your own golf swing by doing this stuff. And then when you make a mistake on the golf course, you don't ask your friends because you already know. And that's the key to success.
Know your own truth.
Know your own game.
Absolutely. Well, Johnny, I can't wait to see what you got next time on. Everybody, thank you very much for coming back on.
Appreciate it.